I didn't realize such a weird and embarrassing thing to admit.
Hello, friends, besties. Meri from Sister Wives Daily here. Have you ever heard the expression, you don't know what you don't know? I used to hear that all the time when I was growing up. And as basic as it means everything. Because think about it. How can you doubt something if you've never known anything else? Now picture being raised in a closed world, where from the time you are a child, you're instructed that women are supposed to share a husband, that your value, your spirituality, and even your standing in heaven hinges on embracing that this is God's will and this is how you lead a righteous life. That's your norm. And in that society, you don't ever question, wait, is this okay? Let that sit there for a second, because when you're born into something like that, a faith system, a culture, a reality, you don't even consider questioning it. Why would you? You don't know what you don't know. And this isn't limited to religion or marriage. For instance, I came up in a house where corporal punishment was just part of disciplining you, hitting you, smacking you, or yelling at you. It was just the natural response to misbehaving. It wasn't until I was a grown-up and I met people who hadn't grown up the same way that I thought, wait, that wasn't normal? For the first time, I realized that what I had believed was just parenting was fear-based discipline, and it was traumatic. Here's the wake-up moment, the point that transformed my life. When I became a mother, I promised myself I would never raise my hand to my child. I wanted my child to know love without fear, discipline without hurt, a childhood where they didn't have to hide or steel themselves for what was to come, because I didn't know it could be different until I did. And once I knew, I couldn't go back. Now, here's where it gets strong, because this same type of awakening is occurring for Christine Brown Woolley. She's in her early 50s now, and she's finally facing something that a lot of us saw all along watching Sister Wives. The patterns, the imbalance, the hurt. We watched it all play out episode after episode. But Christine, she didn't see it back then. Why? Because she didn't understand what she didn't know. She spent her whole adult life in a system which reassured her that her worth was in how well she could divide a man, that her role was to receive crumbs and count herself blessed, that if she served diligently, she would be a goddess in heaven, but only if she gave herself over utterly here on earth. She would say things like, "Our marriage is just like any other, just multiply it by 4." But we knew it wasn't. Because in monogamy, you don't have to time your husband's attention. You don't have to steel yourself for seeing him only every fourth night. That's not the same. That's survival, not partnership. And now, for the first time, she's acknowledging it. In a raw and exposed moment with Suki, Christine reveals not only what she endured, but how ashamed she is to have believed it for so long, ashamed for not seeing the truth. But let's be real, how could she have seen it? She was never supposed to. And here's the thing, breaking cycles of generations doesn't happen easily. It's messy, it's confusing, it's humbling, because the second you become aware of what you've been a part of, what you believed, what you accepted, even what you defended, you begin to wonder, how did I not see this? And that's what healing looks like. It begins with the awareness that you didn't know, and then the bravery to declare, now I do, and I'm never going back. So when Christine admits she's embarrassed, I see a woman who's healing, who's coming out of the shadows of indoctrination and into her own strength. And that's something to be celebrated, because we've all had those moments where we didn't know that we didn't know. But the true power is in what we do after we finally get to see the truth.
That's making it so our lives are focused on him.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating to me, and it's embarrassing that I lived it.
Now let's discuss what it actually is to be in a one-sided relationship. Suppose you're running a household by yourself, taking care of the kids, doing everything by yourself, and every fourth day, the father of your children saunters in like royalty. He spent the last 3 days with his other wives, having completely separate lives, and now he shows up and expects you to wait on him. That's not love. That's not partnership. That's control. And let's be honest about it, a form of exploitation masquerading as faith and tradition. Because what kind of partner goes missing for days and then comes back with ultimatums, stipulations, and no responsibility? A true partner would be there, reliable, and emotionally engaged. Kody? He was none of those things. He was too busy leaping from one residence to another, siring children he could emotionally neither sustain nor even relate to. To him, the children weren't people. They were merely statistics. And the women? They were supposed to vie for his attention, bicker for bits of love, and be grateful. And it's not all about Kody. This whole culture cultivates this type of male entitlement. It produces men who are complimented at birth, informed they're better, and taught their purpose is to receive love and devotion, not provide it. They're taught to expect their wives to be the ones bending, accommodating, compromising, that if they want love, they must be worthy. And that's how narcissism flourishes. Because when you're told you're the king, when everybody around you is trained to confirm and worship you, why would you change? Kody actually stated this season that he received all of his affirmation from being idolized by his wives and children. He didn't need to grow. They were already conditioned to serve. Now, listen to me clearly. I'm not just pointing fingers at Kody. This type of dysfunction is systemic. It's not something that's added on to the belief system. It's something that's actually built in. And it tells women that if their husband doesn't love them, it's because they're not good enough. Even Meri has repeated this toxic thinking with passages such as, "You can only control yourself." Yes, that's correct. We can only control ourselves. But when that mentality is used as a weapon to get women to bear the responsibility of a failed relationship, it's toxic. It begins to sound like, if you just transform enough, he'll finally love you. And that is tragic. Because the truth is, love isn't something you earn by transforming who you are. And if someone can't love you unless you're always shrinking, adapting, or shutting up, that's not love at all. So now, when I hear Meri or Christine finally talking, when I hear them recount how unfair everything was, I wonder if they're finally in therapy. Because the way they're speaking now, that sounds like someone who's healing, someone who's gaining an understanding of what healthy love is, likely because, for the first time, they have something genuine to compare it against. Maybe, just maybe, Christine's looking back and realizing, how did I survive that for so long? That's not weakness, that's growth. And when women like her start connecting the dots, start calling it what it is, and start reclaiming their truth, that's the most powerful thing of all.
You know,
Do you feel that he didn't respect you?
I don't know if he would feel like he would need to. I don't know, maybe in some roles.
Christine is finally admitting to something so many women struggle with in secret. She's embarrassed, ashamed that she constructed her whole life upon one man, ashamed that she contorted herself into pretzels attempting to please him, ashamed that each time he came through her front door, she adjusted her universe to accommodate him. From the meals she prepared to the manner in which she behaved, all things circled around him. She treated him like royalty, and he treated her to crumbs. McKelty once did tell a bitter truth. When Kody did spend time with his children, it was always on his own terms. He'd park himself in front of a film he enjoyed, usually some Roman epic or fantasy about wizards, and the only way the children could bond with him was by sitting silently and watching. No inquiry into their lives, no showing an interest in their pursuits, no attempt to connect. If you wanted a minute with Dad, you had to join his world, on his terms, with his wishes. This wasn't fatherhood. This was dominance masquerading as presence. Yes, he may have attended a wrestling event or two here and there for the boys, but it was superficial, the bare essentials. Because when you've got that many children, How do you truly love, care for, and bond with each of them when you're preoccupied playing God? And that's the essence of it. Kody was a God in their home. His word wasn't merely law in their house, it was God. The organization of their belief system granted him priesthood power. That is, everything he said, everything he desired, was holy. So picture this: your husband is also your spiritual leader. You don't merely love him, you're taught to worship him. And although they did insist they weren't like Warren Jeffs, the only difference was in the wardrobe. Same rules, same control, same poisonous beliefs that instructed women to keep sweet, to never speak out, to submit. So then, when Christine admits her shame, it probably goes beyond regret. It's based on shame. But here's the thing: you should never feel ashamed of what another did to you. You don't have to bear the weight of how he treated you. Rather than wondering, how could I have let this happen? Ask, why was it acceptable for him to treat me so poorly in the first place? What is so at ease about a man harnessing religion as a means of controlling and discarding women? Let's not forget, Kody was raised in the LDS church, where polygamy is not practiced. He knew it was abusive. He knew it had the potential to shatter women, and he still chose it. He wasn't born one. His parents were converted when he was already an adult. Most of his siblings didn't believe. They opted to live differently because they had seen the truth. But Kody, he went down the road of power, of control, of being idolized, because it stroked his ego and gave him license to do whatever he pleased, including sleeping with more than one woman without emotional responsibility. Let me be clear: a man who really loves a woman would never knowingly join a belief system that hurts her. That's not faith. That's masquerading as cruelty. So, as Christine finally awakens to these realizations, as she puts together the manipulation and the trauma, I hope she heals, and I hope she remembers this: none of it was her fault. There's always a risk, though, when you emerge from something like this. Sometimes we overcorrect in the other direction. Like a child who was forbidden sugar as a child and now cannot eat enough candy. It's natural, it's human, but balance is the secret. What Christine requires now isn't shame or regret. What she requires is grace, self-grace and other grace, and room to rebuild without shame. It's like what Lorelai from Gilmore Girls once described: growing up limited and then going to the other end. Now all I do is eat junk food. It's an overcorrection. And it tends to happen to so many of us who flee controlling situations. So I hope Christine doesn't overcorrect in that very same manner. I hope she doesn't become so independent that she inadvertently shuts out the very partner who wishes to love her properly. But from what I can see, she is learning how to be in a genuine partnership, perhaps for the very first time. Can you conceive of it? Living one's whole life without ever really having a partner? It breaks your heart. She confessed she was embarrassed. And just consider that. You're in your 50s and suddenly discovering your whole life centered on one man, a man who didn't even appreciate you, a man you distorted yourself for, a man you referred to as your husband, even when he slept around with other women, and you were fine with that. Not because you were feeble, but because you learned, conditioned. That was love. And now you're standing there thinking, what the hell was wrong with me? But listen to me, there was nothing wrong with you. You were indoctrinated. You were gaslit. You were trying your best in a system that was geared to tear down women and maintain men in power. So please don't bear the shame. Don't blame yourself for what you didn't know. From here on out, the only way is forward. Continue going to therapy, Christine. It's working. We can all see it. You're not just healing, you're glowing. So tell me, were you surprised to hear all this? Or did it just confirm what you already knew? Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear your thoughts. And if this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss a new upload. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.